In this video, we're going to look at creating reports within Microsoft Project. So to create reports and make reports effective, Project relies on two areas which are really important to allow it to create its reports. Percentage completion, which I've added a column in here to put some percentage completions in. And the other one is a status date. I'm first going to talk through percentage completion and why it's important to get these percentage completions accurate. So what I'm assuming in this example is all of these percentage completions are accurate against real world scenarios. Because the problem you're going to have with reports is if these percentage completions aren't accurate, neither will the reports be. So let's look at the percentage completion in this example. So we're going to say today now is a status date that I'm going to show you that I've set for it. But what I've set the status date to be is in effect job shortlisting is going to be set behind schedule. So everything is complete as 100% is correct. That's fine. It's all 100% complete. But in this example, we're going to say the job shortlisting is behind schedule. Now let's see when it should finish. So it should finish on the 1st of August. And the start date is the 19th of July. Now what else Project needs for reporting purposes is what's called a status date. Now to set the status date, we're going to go through the Project tab, Project Information, and Status Date. So the status date for this particular project is set to the 2nd of August. So I'm setting the status to be the 2nd of August. So that means everything from the 2nd of August should be up to date really. If anything's behind schedule, Project's going to report it against the 2nd of August. If I click OK. Well, if we look at the job shortlisting, as of the 2nd of August, this task should be complete because it should be complete by the 1st of August. It's not. It's 0% complete. So we are running behind schedule in this particular project. So Project can show all these lovely features. What's behind schedule, the cost of project tasks, the cost of an entire project. It can show the percentage completion of a project. It's very, very powerful in its reporting purposes. So when we get the cost report, you might say, where's that cost report coming from? It's coming from the cost table. So this is why it's important to know your tables. So all the information in the cost table is where the reports for your costs are going to come from. So table is very, very important in Project for where information comes from. Now we're going to have a look at reports within Project. Now the version of Project I'm using here is version 2016. So reports in 2016 and 2013 are very, very similar. Now 2010 version looks very different in reporting purposes. So from version 13 and 16, and this is the way the Project is deciding to go with reporting, it makes it very, very visual. So let's look at reports in 2016. So reports. Now we have our own area for reports. There's lots of them. I can create a new report from scratch, new chart, new table, new comparisons, or I can use Project's report which it's designed itself for use. So let's look at some of these. So for example, dashboard reports. I could look at what the project overview is. Let's see how that project looks. Pretty clever. It's showing me I've got a 37% completion on the project itself. It now gives me a chart showing me what's complete and what's not complete. It even tells me what's late. So I know that job shortlisting is a late task, and it's telling me that. And we know that from the discussion earlier on with the status date, which is set to the 2nd of August. So it's telling me by being 0% complete, that's telling me that I am behind schedule. So Project in its reporting purposes is very, very clever in picking up all bits of information from different tables collating it and putting it into a report. So that's a project overview report. Let's see what this would look like in print. So if I want to print it, File tab, Print. Now it prints pretty well, so you can see if you were to print this off right now and take it to your meetings for reporting purposes, it's really looking at most of the information you'd want within the project. Percentage completion, a nice chart to go with it, telling you what's late. Quite useful information. Well, if I go back into the reporting area, as soon as I go back, because I haven't come out of my report, I'm still in reports and I can use report tools. So what can I do with this report? I could copy the report. I can manage it. I can rename it. I can copy to the organizer. So earlier on when I was doing my tables, I mentioned the organizer. So reports can be copied to the organizer. By copying the report, you can also give that information and save it somewhere, so you can copy the report. Quite useful. What else can we do with the report? We can set it up for printing, so we can go portrait, landscape. We can change the size of the paper. So within the reporting area, which is called your design tab and report tools, you can do quite a lot. Let's now look at another kind of report. So to come out of the report for my project overview, in my example, I'm going to click on Gantt charts and I go back to my Gantt chart, and that takes me back to my standard Gantt chart. Let's look at another report. So report, another dashboard. Let's look at costs. So that gives me a cost overview. It tells me how much I've spent up to now against percentage completion and what I've got left to spend. It tells me I've got a 37% completed situation within the project. It gives me progress versus cost. What else does it show me? I've got cost status for all the different tasks. I can show a cost status report. So it shows me my up and down costs, where my costs are coming from. It shows me the remaining cost, actual cost, baseline cost, and all of this is coming from the cost status table. So the chart is based on this table. Quite a powerful report. So reports within project, they are quite useful. Let's look at one or two more. So I'm going to go back to Gantt chart. Report. This time we look at resources. So give me a review of resource overview. So this is showing me where my engineering manager is used, the amount of work remaining, the actual work undertaken. I've got percentage completion of work. I've got the status when people started and finished. So the standard reports within Microsoft Project, and again you can see you can do the same ideas behind all reports. You can copy them, you can modify them within the layout, the size, you can add text boxes to them. There's all sorts you can do. So when you are trying to learn reports, it's good to try and play with them, see what they can do. But shortly we'll be looking at maybe modifying a report. Now that's going to be in the next video that I go to. So in this video we're only looking at an overview of reports and what they do. We'll look at one or two more. So if I go back to my Gantt chart, report, and say for example I wanted to know in progress. I wanted to know my critical tasks. Let's see what that gives me. So I've now got a report on critical tasks. So for those of you who maybe find your projects are really important to look at the critical path, well, this is showing you your critical tasks. So in effect, Project in its default, by setting up reports, has set up quite a few useful reports ready for use. But there is a lot more you can do with reports, and this is when you start looking at creating your own, modifying what's in a report, so you can tweak these reports to your own purpose. In the next video on reports, we will look into these areas. Now this completes at this stage looking at reports and what the basics of reports can do with you in Microsoft Project and what reports come with Microsoft Project.